Hey, this is Unrefined Podcast. Welcome to another episode. Hey, guys, we are back, and this little short ditty, I want to call it, episode, we're going to be diving into logical fallacies, fallacious arguments. We just really see this dearth of logical, and matter of fact, there was a post this morning by a buddy of mine that said, hey, look, people need to start using common sense. Well, this is our way of getting out into the fringe world and saying, yes, not everything is a conspiracy. Yes, not everything is a cryptid. Yes, we need to use balance and not really stay on the fence, but we need to be in the middle, what we call the media in the denomination I came from. And we need to realize that the truth meets in the middle somewhere. So we have Lindsay here, the co-host of the show.
Hey.
And we have somebody new that's new to our show, and you're going to be hearing a lot more from him. His name is Brandon Wallace, but we call him BT because he is a Brandon Tyler just like I am, which is really amazing. And he is going to be a co-host, and we're also launching a podcast, which is going to be incredible and awesome. And I'll let him tell you a little bit about what it's going to be. Go ahead, BT.
Hey, guys. Hey, listeners. Yeah, I'm going to be launching here in November Truth and Shadow podcast. We're going to be talking about some supernatural worldview things. It's aimed at whether you've been a seasoned listener to the worldview or a skeptic or someone curious about it. Our podcast is going to shed some light on the inexplicable.
Yeah, y'all, and I've got glimpses of it, and it's going to be pretty rad. There's an 80s word. It's going to be pretty cool. Pretty lit. How about that? Definitely not sus.
Prepare to be intrigued, mystified, and open your mind to the extraordinary.
There you go. There's this tagline. So
I'm really looking forward to it.
I am too, because and I'm really looking forward to some more podcasts with the three of us, because there's just like this real synergy of I got my two smart guys, and you got the dumb one over here, me, and so they just enlighten me with all this just knowledge. The drop of knowledge is what they're doing. Today, for our first logical fallacy, we're talking about what, guys?
Ad hominem
ad
fallacy.
hominem. So who wants to start? What is it? What is the Latin for ad hominem? What does it mean?
Against the man.
Yeah.
Which, it kind of sounds fun. It kind of sounds good. Who doesn't want to go against the man, But
No.
So it's a logical fallacy where an argument attacks a person or their attributes or where they're from, etc., instead of dealing with the argument itself that they've presented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lindsay, any input there? Anything you want to add?
I mean, I got more questions than anything. Would guilt by association fall under ad hominem fallacy?
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
With the straw men, there's several that fall underneath this as an umbrella.
I don't know, straw man fallacy. I think it's its own fallacy, honestly. But
it might be.
Guilt by association definitely does. But it came from Aristotle. He was one of the first ones to really promote it and put it out there. And it's just it is widely used in Christian circles, particularly today, to totally discredit a person without even having to deal with their arguments. And so I'm going to go through like a few of the different kinds, and we can talk about those different kinds and how, what I'd like to share with everybody is, you guys, is how we've seen them in our lives or in the lives around us. All right, one of them is circumstantial, so a circumstantial ad hominem. What do you guys think about that? How would you identify that? Y'all want me to go?
No, go for it. Tell us what that is, because I'm at a loss.
No, it's real easy as soon as I say it. Okay, a circumstantial ad hominem basically points out that, hey, you're rich, so therefore you have this viewpoint.
Yeah.
So it deals with
an appeal to motive.
Yes.
Parentheses here as part of that.
Their job, their wealth, their property, their relationship, anything like that. And we all know that that's just not reality. The reality is that you can be in different circumstances and have a totally opposite opinion. I mean, you just look at a lot of example, I'll use it in the whole racial context. You have a lot of very wealthy, rich white people who are very much into the plight of like poor opposite races, whether it be Latinos or white people or poor African Americans. So, just because they're rich and white doesn't mean that they're against everything like that. As a matter of fact, you could also throw another circumstantial and say they were more presupposed to be that way. So that's another circumstantial ad hominem attack. In other words, they have quote white guilt, and that's why they're for that. So anyway, you have to be really careful with it. Another one is called guilt by association. Who wants to talk about that one?
Yeah, this is the one that involves attacking a person's associates, rather than addressing the argument. So basically, you're friends with that criminal. Your opinion doesn't matter.
Well, you know what reminds me?
You voted for X, therefore.
Yeah, everything you say is of no consequence. The big one with me is it reminds me too, and I've watched particularly in, and I'm not you guys. I want to caveat this. I am not against pointing out heresy in the body of Christ. I just don't think it is a spiritual gift and it's an office of the church. I don't see it anywhere in the scriptures that I am the head heresy hunter. But this is employed by them probably more that and straw man, which we'll get to in another episode. But guilt by association. In other words, and it reminds me of Kevin Bacon, that old game we used to play to see how many degrees we can get back to Kevin Bacon in a movie. And guilt by association reminds me of that.
Yeah.
All right, so this guy was at this school that taught New Thought, and because he was there at that school, he must have imbibed New Thought, and he comes back, and despite all his writings are thoroughly solid Christian, he went to that school that was New Thought, so he was associated to that school, so therefore he started a movement that was, and I'm actually using a real movement, but I'm not going to name it, but that is guilt by association, and it comes from a bunch of people watching YouTube videos instead of doing the research themselves. A lot of times, it's lazy, is what it is. It's really lazy. So,
what else do we got for ad hominem? There's like 4 types, I think.
There's one like tout coke. I'm assuming that's a French word.
Tout coco.
Yeah.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
It's just easier to say it in English, isn't it?
Yeah.
Et tu?
Bruce?
You too?
I was saying it like it was French because it looked French to me.
It is French, I think. It might be Latin.
Okay, yeah.
No. It's Latin.
Okay.
Like I watched this movie about, Latin and Spanish the same language. Anyway, it was a movie I watched this weekend. You got the Spanish, you got the Latin.
Yeah.
So tell us about it.
You also, yeah. A discussion technique that intends to discredit the opponent's argument by attacking the opponent's own personal behavior and actions as being inconsistent with their argument, therefore accusing of hypocrisy.
Yeah.
It's like basically just saying, yeah, but you don't live that way kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah, that's the classic. I don't want to go to church because they're all hypocrites. And you know what I tell people like that? Well, if you're hiding behind hypocrites, you're really small.
or you say, well, what's wrong with one more going to church then?
Yeah.
There's another one called argue from commitment. And this one basically is it's a dialectical type strategy. And basically what it says is if you argue this philosophical viewpoint, therefore you can't have anything else. Okay, here's an example, and this is going to be really rough. But if you believe some of what Calvinists believe, then therefore you can't believe anything that like an Armenian believes at all. And that's an argument from commitment, where you make a theological or philosophical school monolithic. Now, granted, there can be contradictions in these different things, and we don't want to get into all that. That's another logical fallacy.
Yeah.
But
this is basically the accusing somebody of looking at the world through rose-colored lenses, isn't
exactly. That's it. You nailed it in common talk. That's it. Perfectly. And usually in debates and arguments, man, if the person who's moderating the debate picks up on it and knows about these, this is like the first attack usually, and the debate moderator needs to pick up on it and point it out usually. So, because it's not constructive for a dialogue. You're not really talking about the thing at hand. You're attacking someone's, position, character, job, beliefs, all that kind of stuff.
And these are all pretty below the cuff. I mean, the ones that are something that's really common and usually missed is name calling. Calling somebody a moron or uneducated. You only went to high school. What do you know about this doctorate thesis kind of thing? It's like, well,
yeah.
Usually somebody probably shouldn't speak about something if they don't know anything about it. But at the end of the day, if you say, well, I read the paper and I don't agree with his findings.
Yeah. Well, and there's a logical fallacy that deals with about the whole educational thing. However, it is so it's enmeshed with this ad hominem. I mean, I was accused because I was bringing up a point, and even though I am, quote, seminary trained, unquote, all this kind of stuff, I was accused. Well, I wasn't a doctor, so therefore I couldn't, really. It was kind of tongue in cheek. I wasn't a doctor, so therefore I couldn't.
Oh, you're talking about the credentials fallacy. Yeah, we'll talk about that one in another one of these.
It's still an ad hominem. It's like saying, well, you're dumb because you're not overeducated, which isn't, but it fits really well into an ad hominem attack. And also,
it does,
you went to a certain school, like say, for example, I went to BYU, therefore I can't speak to to anything Christian. Just because I went to a Mormon school doesn't mean I'm Mormon and I think like that. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Or Catholic. I mean, I would go to a Catholic university in a heartbeat. I almost went to Loyola down in New Orleans, and great school. And I wasn't Roman Catholic, but I mean, somebody to use that to attack me, to say that I can't speak thoroughly in any sort of evangelical type way because I went to a Catholic college. That's just ludicrous.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I think we handled that pretty well. Y'all have any final comments about this one? Looking forward to the other ones, and we'll get better at this, you guys, the more we do it and play it out. But I just think, and you guys can chime in this. I just think this is essential in the fringe world. We need to start. We say that the Bible is our foundation for what we believe in, this, that, and the other. And then the first thing I hear in most arguments in different groups is, well, I just feel like he's weird. And that's not a biblical.
No,
I mean, there's a place for that.
It's important,
there's a place for it. Yes, intuition, subjective experience, but we can't claim that as being biblical discernment.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
it shouldn't be our final word for sure,
yes.
Based on a feeling.
Yes.
I think it's important that we. We're doing these fallacies because we're helping other people recognize them. Because it's important that we recognize these when we're discussing with other people. And it's all to ensure that our arguments are based on, some logic and some evidence to support our claims, and not focus on personal attacks and, quite honestly, irrelevant distractions. You get people off topic. They can't talk about what they were trying to say, and you need to let people discuss and reason out what they're talking about, what they understand, instead of just meme bobbing, sending them a bunch of memes as a discussion
As much
stopper.
as I love memes, definitely. And I want to toot his horn a little bit about this because I've watched him do this. BT handles this very well. He's very concise and logical in his arguments. And even when he gets down to it and they don't agree with him, he doesn't make them angry where they start attacking. And that's because he doesn't use ad hominem attacks. He's just like, let's look at the material and let's look at what it says. He doesn't say, oh, you're an idiot because you believe that. And he generates a lot more light than heat. And so that's something I'm trying to learn from him how to do. I tend to generate more heat than light. That's just me. But I think we've got to communicate with people like that, or else they're not going to listen to us. I wouldn't listen to anybody calling me a bunch of names, or insulting me. Basically, that's what ad hominem is. It's an insult.
Yeah, and we've got to be open and loving and caring. I mean, after all, we're all Christians, and the world's going to know us by our love.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great way to end that. Thanks for listening and supporting us. And remember, stay naturally supernatural.